Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, our family, lawyers, all our supporters, community members. Thank you for being here. The purpose of being here today, I will mainly stick on appreciating your efforts. Okay. On this past year, the hurt caused by Sharon Hill Borough and its police department has overcome my family with tremendous grief. The agony we feel constantly, we reliving the loss of our dear Fanta, who was just 8 years old when she was killed by Sharon Hill police officers. It's impossible to describe the words since her mother and her siblings witnessed this tragic incident. They will have to live with that trauma imprinted in their memories for the rest of their lives. We are still coming to grips with the reality that our beloved Fanta is gone forever. This is why it is critically important for our family to begin the healing process, which cannot happen where this matter remains unresolved. Therefore, after much prayer and discussion with our family, we determined that it was in our best interest for the district attorney to ensure that the police officers take responsibilities of their actions and admit to their reckless conduct, endangering, murder, and killing our Fanta. We pray that as a result of police officers being held accountable, we can, as a family and as a community, finally have some closure and begin the healing process. I will stop here for now. My cousin will take over. Thank you for being here. We do appreciate everyone for your courage, for your presence, for your hard work, that including the members of the press. This is Pleas Bility.
Hello everybody, my name is Sadiq Camaro. I am Fanta's cousin. I just have some few words I want to also explain. Just to follow up on my uncle, what he said, we also want to make sure that, Sharon Hill Borough is held accountable. My family still lives in Sharon Hill to today. And the officials, they failed us as a whole and properly training the police officers and what we learned that day. We want to ensure that this never ever happened again to a family member in America, and the traumatic experience that my family faced, we want to make sure that this never ever happened again. We want to also thank the District Attorney's Office and Delaware County Black Caucus and NAACP and all the community members that have been involved helping get justice for Fanta. We thank you guys.
All right, at this time, we will hear from the attorney for the family, Mr. Bruce Craster, who will take questions.
I'm Bruce Castor, Bruce middle initial L, C-A-S-T-O-R Jr., and I'm the lawyer for the Bility family and also for the estate of Fanta Bility. The last man who spoke, Sadiq Kamara, is not only a cousin of Fanta, but he is also the court-appointed administrator of her estate. So he speaks for the estate of Fanta, who obviously is unable to have her say herself. I figured you'd have some questions, so I figured rather than make the family try to go through that, I would answer them to the extent that I could.
They said the way you said is that the family was involved in constructing the deal that they came up with. Is that how you see it too? I mean, they were involved. This is okay with them?
Yes, I think we spent a great deal of time going over the evidentiary foundation for the charges, and I explained to them based on my experience, how I thought the matter would play out. And I thought that if we had gone to trial and spent all that time and energy and stress, we would end up exactly where we are today with convictions on the recklessly endangering charges. I did not see any path to winning the manslaughter charges beyond a reasonable doubt. So after they heard that and heard the arguments from the district attorney, they gave their assent and asked me to see if I could make that happen. The district attorney's office has been really over the top in their efforts to keep us informed and to discuss possible scenarios, and I delivered that message to them. It is difficult for me to say because I was not in the room when the prosecutors were talking to the defense lawyers. I just know that it took them a long time to get to yes, but we ended up getting to exactly what it is that the family members and the district attorney's office and I thought was the appropriate outcome. And when you have time, you're going to want to get to the district attorney and get a copy of the written statement that they pled guilty to, because it has in there the factual basis for the pleas. And these defendants are going to be, in future proceedings, they're married to the admission that these are the things that they did. I intentionally do not have a copy because the originals were admitted in court, but the DA's office will be able to give you copies of them.
Bruce, does this mean that your civil lawsuit against both the officers and the department is going to move forward now? I know you put it on hold because of the criminal proceeding.
Yes, I mean, the case was transferred to what's called the inactive docket. I've given instructions to my staff to file the necessary paperwork to move it off of the inactive docket after the sentencing. I don't want to do anything at all that could cause the defendants to change their mind. They could feel like the judge is being pressured. Nothing like that. I want just to take its course here in Delaware County, and then we'll move forward with the civil case.
Bruce,
criminal case takes priority.
Was there any concern over ballistics and whether it could be concluded definitively which officer's weapon fired that fatal shot?
Yeah, that's a great question. Those of you who recognize my background know that I know a great deal about ballistics, and I have access to experts that are retired from when I was doing it, and I am absolutely positive that the district attorney's office here got the best forensic advice they could get, and it was reviewed by others outside of the Delaware County control. So while I have actually never seen that happen before, I have learned that that Glock pistols with this special type of rifling, this is a problem that is cropping up around the country. Relatively new thing. That is a very unusual outcome for somebody like me who's been 40 years dealing with ordinary ballistics. But I am positive that the DA's office got it right.
And that's when they weren't able to identify specifically?
Right. When the bullet travels down the barrel of the gun, it imparts a spin on it so that it flies through the air like a quarterback throwing a football with a spiral. And while that's happening, the softer metals that are passing through the barrel get the imprints of the spinning grooves inside the barrel placed on it. Usually those are unique from gun to gun. There's a special kind of rifling in new Glock pistols that makes it difficult for us to tell one from another in the exact same kind of gun. So it puts the same, what they call lands and grooves, on the projectiles, and usually there are microscopic changes that are different from gun to gun. Here we didn't have that, and it has something to do with the precision with which the Glock pistol barrels are made. That may be something that the legislature might have to address in some fashion.
How much prison time are they looking at each?
They're looking at a maximum of 20 years in prison.
Each of them?
Each of them, right. That would be they got the maximum sentence on each charge.
But how likely would that be, since presumably they don't have criminal records?
I think it would be extraordinarily unlikely. I think that if the case had proceeded to trial, I think the judge might have wondered why they weren't agreeing that firing into constantly changing background of people is a reckless conduct, and might have decided that while they wouldn't be punished for going to trial, that she couldn't ignore the unreasonable defense that firing weapons in that fashion is not reckless. So by pleading guilty, yes, these possible sentences are there, but they have taken responsibility, in the eyes of the court that will count for something. Now, the other side of the coin is we have somebody dead, several people hurt, and a family ruined. So what those people have to say about that is also going to be taken into account. So far, the criminal justice system here in Delaware County has worked exactly the way it's supposed to, and we should be heartened by the fact that DA Stolzheimer and his crew have done a good job.
With making this decision, obviously the family mentioned it today, they'll never get their daughter back, and this doesn't fix anything per se, but how much of a relief is it to have some sort of ending, closure to this part of what they're going through?
Well, from their perspective, the guilty pleas are a public statement that police officers know they did wrong. From my perspective, I'm worried about the ability to withdraw guilty pleas that is very easy to do prior to sentencing. That's why I didn't want there to be any chance that we would say anything that might derail the sentencing. After sentencing and the court decides what the penalty should be, I believe that's the time when they will feel that this chapter has closed, their grieving can continue, and we lawyers that deal with the civil aspects of it can see what we can do to bring justice, not just in the criminal arena, but for the failure to properly train and to properly supervise these officers. One of the things that is particularly bothersome to me is I have seen no evidence that these officers were trained in real life scenarios with practice, with targets popping up and simulated gunfire and graded exercises that are designed to mimic what it would happen in real life, like happened in this particular evening. It's one thing to stand there and shoot at a target. It's another thing to have all sorts of noise, people all around, good guys and bad guys, and the chaos of a gun battle going on. And police officers need to be trained to deal with that type of situation. And I've seen no evidence that happened. And if that turns out to be the case, that fault lays at the feet of the officials of Sharon Hill Borough.
Did the family express any trepidation at the thought of reliving this trauma through a trial, and that being a real reason why they wanted to do a plea deal?
Yes, to the first part. I mean, they did not want to relive the trauma, but I told them that if they could not work out an agreement, that's going to be what would happen, and I need to know now if you're going to be unable to do that. And to a man and woman, they all said we could do that. So these people, while they're shy and humble here, there's a core of steel that goes through them.